am Chris Kaler.
And I'm Amber Foster, Kyuujin Cosplay, and tonight we are back again, guys, with Ryuzu, episode 10, season 2.
Last episode we met many witches.
Too many witches.
Many disturbing witches. Scary witches.
And one that we could just have not meet her at all, you know.
We would have been better off without her being around. So yeah, we met Gluttony, who is disturbing, yet she makes a lot of sense. Like, her sin makes sense.
She's really rational.
Yeah, we met Wrath, who helped Subaru, defended him, and brought him, you know, put him back together after we met Pride, who destroyed him. Made a lot of sense with his character and what he's going through. He is his own worst enemy when it comes to emotions and self-esteem and confidence. He was his worst enemy in the first season for different reasons, but now he's bashing himself too much. He's destroying his own mentality,
which is still not good.
Yes. And when we came back after, you know, talking to all these witches and learning about a way to destroy the rabbits, which, you know, they are also kind of like the white whales. The white whale, they are a creature that Gluttony created. We went back to the real world, and Emilia wasn't there, and Satella was there in her place. And I think that it might be Emilia's body being overtaken by Satella.
Yeah, and now she's going to Roswell Mansion.
Yes.
So we need to act up and do something fast.
We need to figure out what happened to, you know, have her be there. And then we need to go back, and we have 4 days to get rid of the rabbits, get rid of the barrier, go back and get rid of Elsa.
So many things to do in so short time. So, yeah.
Yes. But Subaru is determined to do it, and so are we. So let's jump in this episode and get rid of Satella.
Please.
Let's go. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, Beatrice.
That we do.
Okay, so Subaru again is taking everything on his back and being the martyr of the story.
Again.
Because he's got that power. He's got this thing about him that he cannot let anyone suffer. You know, he cannot witness anyone suffering without doing anything. It's, you know, what he told Emilia and how he reacted to Emilia being, you know, in distress or anything is the same emotion that drove him to say to Satella that he was going to save her, you know?
Subaru is a good person, and to be honest, if in a weird way you had the possibility to make sure that the people around you do not suffer, but by doing so you're going to be the one to suffer, would you do it? If you know that you're going to help so many people?
I wish I would. I mean, I don't know. I've never been put in this situation, but
yeah, Subaru is a good person because
like in season 1 it was a hero complex, but in season 2 now that he's more humble to, you know, his feelings and how he reacts and stuff. It's just he is just a good person.
Yeah,
he cannot witness someone suffering without helping, which leads me to Satella, because there is one thing I wanted to say. In a very twisted, disturbing way, seeing her cry like this and stuff, like, she is consumed by her sin. She is in love with a guy that she doesn't know and that she wants and she can't have. She's so enamored, yeah, that's a word, I think,
enamored, yeah,
with him. To know that, and it gets so intense, it's not something that can lead to anything good. That obsession of hers is leading to him not wanting to be with her. It's pushing him away. So because of how she is, because of her obsession, which is consuming her, she is basically forcing him to abandon her and you know, kill himself instead. It's basically like she saw the guy she loves would rather kill himself than be with her. Like, what does that say about her?
It'll be a huge kick to the ego, you know.
Yes,
but
and I mean, she's suffering so much.
But you know what? From what I saw during the episode, in this weird dimension, she seemed very alone. And what would you think if maybe by, I don't know if she's the one who brought Subaru to this world, but in a weird way she's connected to him. And
we always felt like she was the one that brought him.
I don't know what happened with Satella, but I think that she's somewhere alone. Her only connection to the world is maybe through Subaru, and since she's connected to him, she might be able to feel what he feels, his love for Emilia or whatsoever, and over and over again that his identities come back to life, she might have been able to develop some feelings for him.
Well, if she represents, we talked about this.
Does it make sense what I just said?
We talked about this last episode, and every witch that represent a sin, and the sin rules them, rules how they feel, rules their personalities, and how they, what drives them in life. Mm-hmm. She is the witch of envy. Her drive is to want something that she doesn't have. If she lives in a world where she's got nothing, like her life feels empty, kind of like in that shadow, because I don't know if she's in this actual universe, like in this actual reality that we saw in there. Like, I think she might have created this out of all the feelings that she was going through, all the feelings that she experienced, because basically, to be the witch of envy, you have to live in emptiness. You have to have nothing in order to want something. Because if you can satisfy yourself with one thing that you already have, then there's no need for envy. So it would make sense that she is basically stuck in a nightmare born of the curse that is envy. She constantly wants things that she can have, so she reaches for things, and like Subaru was caught by her, and he ended up in a place where everyone's memories and everyone's consciousness just kind of loop together. It's kind of like she's trapping them all in there because she needs to have everything, but that would be more greed. So it's like she kind of like greed wants always more. Greed always wants more, but whereas envy wants things that she can never get her hands on. So even though she's trying to trap them, it's like she still can't have them. So it's an endless loop of wanting. She will never be satisfied because she will never have anything. So greed and envy are in a weird way are similar, but whereas greed can satisfy herself little by little and still look for something like a passion or some research that she's interested into, something that will allow her to have always more. Envy has nothing. She lives in emptiness. She is an empty shell that wishes she could have something, but then she will never have it. So it's like you dangle it in front of her, and she'll never be able to taste what it feels like to have something that she wants. So yeah, it would be a terrible existence, something that would mess her up definitely. And I wonder, maybe that's what when we saw Betelgeuse for the first time, a lot of people were saying that maybe Betelgeuse was a normal guy, kind of like Subaru, who got twisted by the sin he represented, sort of, and that's what got him crazy. Maybe that's what happened to Satella. Maybe she got crazy because of the sin that she represents, and that would be sad in a way. Like,
it is sad.
And Subaru, like, he sees this and he sees her tears, and it's, how can someone so evil be this affected? And we talked about this last episode. There is no. We talked about this when we were talking about wrath, but there is no wrath without love. There is no tears without love either. You can't get affected by something if you don't have something to be affected over to begin with. And to be affected by something and to have something to be affected about, it means you have a heart and you have feelings and you feel stuff. She's not an empty shell that doesn't feel. But because she has nothing to fill that shell and she still feels the emptiness, she suffers every day. That was weird, but I hope that it makes sense. But at the end of the day, like, Subaru saw that she suffered, and he can't just watch someone suffer and not do anything to help. So it's interesting. It's an interesting twist, because we always saw Satella as the evil of this show, but she might be more complicated than that, and there might be something to save in there.
We did something about that, maybe not the end of season 1, but at the beginning of season 2, that's for sure, that there might be more to Satella than we thought at the first off.
Considering that there was more to Echidna, I'm guessing there's more to Satella too, but it will be interesting to see how Subaru does things with her.
True. Maybe just like with the Witch of Gluttony, like, she's trying to do maybe something not with bad intention, but because she's the witch of envy, it doesn't come out in a good way. Like the witch of gluttony created the great beast to satisfy hunger for people, and in a way for the beast to feed on people, but that wasn't coming from a bad intention.
No.
Initially, it just didn't come out as a good thing for humans in general.
And even then, like, I still feel like gluttony at the very least, and the other witches that we met, they still have some sense. They make sense, you know. We hear them talk about their sins, and we're like, oh, well, yeah. In a twisted way, it makes sense. But when we see Satella, who seems to be so obsessed with one thing, you know, that's why I'm saying I think she was consumed by her own sin, because she doesn't seem to be thinking rationally at this point.
I don't know if we'll be able to hear her own point of view about what happened.
Not at the moment.
What she did or what she is. That could explain a lot of things.
Like, there is something there that we can try to reach. She did have a reaction when he mentioned the other witches. So there is someone there.
Yeah, I'm saying as a joke that she's jealous because he's having a good time with other witches than her.
But I think he mentioned witches that she would know, witches that she had, you know, she killed basically. So
yeah,
witches that she could recognize, and that's when she had a reaction that was different from I love you, I love you, I love you, I love me. Mm-hmm. So there is someone in there. It's just that it's almost impossible to reach her, because she's consumed by her envy for Subaru, her obsession. So, but yeah, Subaru is not one to just let that happen and not care. Like, we saw it. Like, he's gonna try to do something. Hopefully, he can save her and end this suffering, both for her and
both for the world. Both for the world, please.
Yes, that's the thing. Like, he is the martyr. He is the hero that goes through these things, because he's the only one who actually can. You know, he's the only one that if he dies, he comes back and gets to do it all over again. We said it. We talked about this a little bit last episode, but basically the curse that the witch put on him for her own, you know, for her own obsession, he's turning it into. Well, it is a curse for him.
Yeah.
But he's turning it into a chance at making things right. So, which is what he's doing right now. Like, even though he will die, he will probably die over and over again. Like, he had this kind of same mentality in the first season. Mm-hmm. When shit matters, you know, he gets into that mind state. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he will be willing to suffer over and over again in order to learn as much as possible about the situation and then do it right. So that's cool. And now that we know that we have control over all the clones over at the sanctuary, that could come in handy for the bunnies, I think.
Well, I did think about it at the first time that you might use them to bait the bunnies, but that would be not a good thing to do, because
at the same time,
you won't willingly use people as bait.
I agree. It would be weird, but at the same time, if you can understand how they're being created, like, this mana has to come from somewhere.
True.
So where's the story?
Since 400 years ago, yeah, that's a huge.
And I mean, using them
source of mana,
using them as bait is cruel, and it's a bit twisted. So I don't think that's. I mean, I hope that's not how he does it.
But in a way, like Garfield said, they are empty inside. They didn't mind to get blown up against Satella's spirit.
True. We will see how they do it. Like, I don't know if she'll be able to help.
But that'll be difficult, because just like Ryuzu Bama, that's what she said her name was?
Anyway, yeah.
The one who wore the dark cloak. Each one of them found something to be unique in their own way, with a name, a hobbies, something that they like. So they are their own individuals. They can think for themselves, if I'm right. So using them,
maybe not all of them, because maybe not all of them. At first, they were trying to put personalities and souls and stuff into them. I would assume that, you know, it's not the first time I've heard this concept. Greed is something that makes you want more and more, and at one point, life is short. You know, you don't have time to get everything, so immortality is usually the go-to for the greedy people in movies and TV shows.
Echidna wanted to learn about everything.
But that's the thing, if you are mortal, you die eventually, so you won't be able to get to know everything. Like in Naruto, Orochimaru had that same thing about wanting to be immortal, so he could learn more. Fucking Jack Sparrow wants the same thing, and I'm mentioning Pirates of the Caribbean only because I watched the movie again yesterday, so that's why I'm thinking of it. But it's always the same thing. The greedy people in movies and TV shows that we know about always, at one point, try to reach immortality, because the more time you have, the more things you get to have and learn.
Also, legends never dies. Jack Sparrow wanted to be a legend in the pirate worlds, and legends never die.
Yeah, but that's not why.
So he needs to stay alive.
That's not why you wanted. Anyway, anyway,
he didn't want to be immortal to learn new stuff.
No, he wanted to have eternal life on the sea.
Yeah.
So he could, forever go around and have everything he wanted, which was being on the sea. So anyway, he was greedy, and that's what motivated his actions. So in this case, I would assume that that's why she was checking for a way to get reborn and keep living.
But it didn't
through
work.
the clones. It did not work, but now that she's dead, maybe no one is there to put personalities and emotions and kind of like souls into these bodies. So that's why the newer ones don't have
or empty shells.
Maybe they actually are, but that's also how Garfield sees it. Maybe they don't see it that way. Like, we don't know. I assume that when she was talking about the ones that basically created their own personalities and their own individuality, she meant the ones that came first. The ones that actually got something.
But she did say that even for herself, it took her a long time to be able to have a soul.
Well, of course. How do you want to? No, she had a soul.
No,
but to appreciate life when you were just.
It took her a long time to become who she is right now.
Yeah, of course.
For the other one, it would be the same thing.
No, but of course. But I think that for her, what she meant is that she was born with a job and no memories, no one to get attached to, no families, nothing to anchor her in life, and with the only knowledge that she's a copy of an original. And that's the only reason why she's here, to be the copy and to do her job. So there's no reason there to enjoy life there. She's just an instrument. So she basically had to come to terms with the fact that even though she is a copy and she still has a job to do, there's nothing that's stopping her from enjoying things in life and, enjoying drinking tea and creating her own personality and having her own last name. So it's something that she made for herself. But to want that in the beginning means to have a personality, to want to live. It's a desire to enjoy life. If they are, the new ones are actual, empty shell, that's because they have nothing inside, and maybe because no one put anything in them. They said it was a process that they managed to put personalities in these shells. So I wonder if there's just a difference between the older ones who have personalities and souls, and the newer ones that Garfield called empty, who are only pockets of mana.
Don't know.
And if they are actual pockets of mana with absolutely no conscience, then in that case, sacrifice them to the bunnies. That's okay.
Oh my god.
But if they are if they are born still, if someone is still, doing this right and putting personalities in them, and they just need time, like you said, to develop it, then we will learn that from their perspective, not Garfield, who only knows that they're clones. So, speaking of Garfield, he's been through some shit. He's obviously he's been through the trial once, and he hasn't managed to do it. I think that's why he's so angry at the fact that Subaru gets to do it, and that's the fact that it's the only thing that manages to that would work for them to leave the sanctuary. I think he deeply cares for everyone there, and he wishes he could save them, but he feels so helpless because he did try the trial.
Yeah.
He couldn't complete it. So why? Probably for the same reasons Emilia doesn't complete the trial, because there is something in there that he can't.
Not able to overcome his past.
He can face. Yeah, he has been through hell too. So that's interesting.
He does have a bad history with his sister, so maybe that's related to it.
One thing is for sure, though, the reason why he was so volatile in the other timelines and the other loops is because he has a secret. That's the thing. If you don't know everything about a person, that's when they become what's the word? That's when you can read, their actions and pretend to know what they're going to do next. So he obviously has something he's keeping to himself. I'm guessing it's about his past, what he's been through, his true emotions. He doesn't like when people look, he freaks out when people are being open and emotional, but at the same time, that's when it reaches him. So I think he doesn't want to be vulnerable, but he definitely has something that makes him, he's got an experience that makes him relate to Emilia and now Subaru when they come out of this trial, really shook.
Allowing people to see you in a vulnerable state, it's also allowing them to hurt you if you're not careful.
Well, yeah, I know about that, but
maybe he got, and like he said, he thought that Subaru didn't know what pain and suffering was, what sadness was. So yeah, maybe he went through some shit.
It's a bullshit conception though to go in life and think, if I'm vulnerable, if I open up to anyone, I open the door for someone to hurt me. That's usually a response to someone who's been hurt in the past. But you need to understand that the people you make connections with are there to support you, and to be open with them is actually a good thing, because then they can understand you and they can help you go through this.
It also explains why he has a tendency to be angry at people. Usually when you've been hurt in the past, or when you go through hardship in the past, and you do not want to open up to people around you, usually you tend to assume that they don't know what you went through, and they didn't have hardship in life because they don't talk to you about it, so you don't know what happened in their life, don't know what happened in your life.
Why are you pointing at me?
No, but I'm just showing other people, So when you see people acting so not carefree but doing stuff, you tend to make assumptions.
Well, with Garfield and Subaru, I think he's genuinely just scared that Subaru is going to do something to hurt the people in the sanctuary, which he cares about. Like, he wishes he could help them, but now it all comes down to Emilia, and now suddenly Subaru smells like the witch, and he's got secrets and he acts a certain way, so it triggers Garfield because first of all he wants to protect him, but it also triggers him because this guy who is nothing and it could potentially be a threat is also one of the guys that can save them all, and he feels helpless and he feels like he can't do anything to help the people he cares about. So that he kind of shows that with anger, and he lashes out, which in my opinion, like Subaru was saying, that he's starting to understand how Garfield thinks. I think that he's the hardest to read when it comes to, well, not the hardest to read, but the hardest to predict. In any timeline, because depending on what you do, he might, freak out.
Snap, or he might just be friendly and help you out.
Yeah. So showing him your tears, showing him your vulnerability is a good thing. Definitely. Because that's when he connects with you. After that, showing him that you don't have bad intentions and stuff, and trying to understand him, but doing it the right way might work. I think that this is kind of what Subaru did this episode. He showed him that he wasn't trying to do things behind his back at all. He was just trying to read him. He was trying to understand him, which is a thing that might work. We'll see. Like, now we need to, go deal with Elsa and Beatrice, but we'll go back to Garfield eventually, and maybe we will learn what happened in his past. Speaking of past, by the way, we gotta watch the movie. Emilia's past is in the movie, I think. So, or the OVA. In any case, the material that you guys have been wanting us to watch for a while, and we were saying, yes, we will do it, but we forget about it every fucking week.
Okay, we need to watch it then.
Yes. So it will give us answers as to what Emilia's going through when she's doing the trial.
Okay.
I think.
Cool.
So, yeah, so that's pretty much it, because it's long. It's a long conversation today.
Yeah, it's coming in. It's a bit late, guys.
I'm starting to lose my voice too, so we will end this here. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode with us. If you want to see the next one right away, it is on Patreon already, or it will be very soon. The link is in the description, so you can check it out.
And if you don't, you can wait for the next one to be out on YouTube, guys, which will be next week.
Yes.
So we're gonna see you in 7 days.
Bye.